It's 2025, and are we finally going to see the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Well, we're going to talk about that and more on today's episode of the Geek Watch Podcast.
This is the Geek Watch Podcast with Brian Hatcher and Mandy Petrie.
Greetings, Geek Watchers, and welcome to episode 241 of the Geek Watch Podcast. I'm Brian Hatcher, and with me, as always, Geek Watch's very own resident geek goddess, Mandy Petrie.
Hello, Brian.
So, it's been a crazy few. Welcome back. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you. And the waters have gone down.
Yeah, for now, until the floods come back and we have another. Ileana is the next storm that's coming in.
Oh, I didn't know it had a name. Okay.
They all have names. Mm-hmm. But we're going to talk a little bit of Sportsball because we had Sportsball last weekend.
The season finale of Sportsball happened on Sunday.
We did. Mm-hmm. And so that means that we had some trailers. Of course, the big thing everybody thinks about with Sportsball is all the interesting commercials. And we had a few trailers, movie trailers, not as many as normal. And they weren't as a big a deal as they tend to be because I feel like Hollywood's gotten the idea that this is really expensive. And so even when they do trailers for the Super Bowl now, since they only really got 30 seconds because how expensive that is.
Yes, of course.
They're not going to spend money to show a 2.5 minute trailer. So they show teasers for trailers and tell you where to go see them. So we got teasers for trailers for Fantastic Four, which we've already seen.
Yes.
We got a teaser for the new Jurassic Park movie with Scarlett Johansson. Mm-hmm. And we got a teaser for Thunderbolts.
Yes.
And I've seen the Thunderbolt trailer. I think you've seen it as well. What did you think of the trailer? Full trailer?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I'm loving the soundtrack. It's been a while since maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy movies that I've been excited about soundtracks. Mm-hmm. Love the soundtrack, and still we're seeing a little bit more of the characters interacting. So I was still always excited about this one and getting to see the anti-heroes come together, getting our kind of Marvel Suicide Squad and getting their character development out, and so I'm still wanting to see it, so I'm still up for it.
Yeah, I was thinking when I saw the trailer, I thought the same thing, Marvel's Suicide Squad. Now the question is, which Suicide Squad are we getting, though? Are we getting the good James Gunn Suicide Squad, or are we getting the not-so-good original Suicide Squad? Now, from what I can tell from the trailer, at the very least, the storyline is the old Suicide Squad, because it looks like we're going to be getting that story again, which is they're going to fight one of their own members who goes rogue, basically. I've heard some rumors that some of our Thunderbolts are going to wind up getting killed off. We've only really at this point have speculation, but we'll see what happens with that. But the Super Bowl on the whole wasn't, as far as the commercials are concerned, unfortunately, the only commercial that people are really still talking about is the Kanye West one.
Yes.
That he shot on a camera phone and basically advertised a website where you could buy white t-shirts with swastikas on them for reasons. So obviously that's the one people remember. Yeah, you're looking, that look on your face, I'm not even making this up.
Are we doing a production of Cabaret? Are we doing a production of The Producers? Are we doing a production of The Sound of Music? Because that is the only reason that I can think.
Well, I can give you what Kanye's reason was for it. In his words, I'm a Nazi. I mean, he's gone down that road before, and he may just be trolling, but I think there's a line you've got to draw. But I don't want to sit here and talk about Kanye.
No.
Let's talk about Valentine's Day, because love's in the air, and it's where movies go to die. So we do have to talk about Captain America, Brave New World. Well, it's released today, a Valentine's Day release, which normally is where movies go to die. But hey, let's be fair. This is where we did get our first Deadpool movie that did gangbusters.
Such a good date movie.
Especially if you got a keeper. But to be fair, Fox didn't really expect a lot out of Deadpool, so it's basically why they put it there. But It is weird to think about, isn't it? Because if they didn't think it was going to do so well, why the heck did they make the movie in the first place? Well, obviously the truth to that is that somebody who bared a spooky resemblance to Ryan Reynolds leaked some footage.
Allegedly.
So that's where we are. But here's the question now, of course, is now we're getting the new Captain America movie. Is it going to be a Deadpool level success, or are we going to last year's superhero movie, Madam Web? Released a year ago.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen it. So the only thing I have to go by is what people are saying in reviews. And although there's a possibility that the entire world is basically steered against me to make me say bad things about this movie, even I don't believe that the entire world cares that much about what I'm going to say on this podcast. But what I have discovered mostly from watching reviews, the spoiler-free reviews, because I don't particularly, want to, I am going to go see it. So I don't want to be spoiled. But from what I understand, this movie is, as the kids would put it, pretty mid, which means that the people who like it don't love it, and the people who don't like it don't particularly hate it.
Oh, so it's the real killer, which is mediocrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, the absolute, not even polarizing. Okay.
Now, of course, I started the show by saying, is this going to be the end of the MCU? Now, I didn't say that specifically because I think people are going to be driven away from the MCU because of this movie. Strangely enough, I feel that Marvel themselves are wrapping things up with the MCU and that this is the beginning of that. Because, first of all, from what I understand, the classic opening of Marvel movies, the Marvel logo and all the superhero and the music, you don't get that at the beginning of this movie. It's a very straightforward black and white logo, no animation. They don't play the music. This is what you get, which is kind of odd. I mean, it's definitely tied into the MCU, but there's a lot of loose threads in the MCU that apparently get tied up in this movie. One of the main plot points of this movie is straight out of Eternals, where the Celestial that was hatching out of the center of the earth is hanging out in the middle of the ocean. Apparently, the corpse of this Celestial is made out of adamantium. So part of the plot of this movie is that a bunch of countries are trying to get the rights to mining the adamantium out of this corpse. So, of course, adamantium is
the strongest.
And it's Wolverine skeletons made out of it. So they think that this is a lead-in to the X-Men, possibly, in the MCU. But here's where things start to get a little bit interesting, because you have things like Daredevil that is supposed to be in the MCU, but kind of is in that twilight area of being MCU, but not exactly. And it's supposed to be extremely violent, which definitely isn't the MCU. And I've been watching the new Spider-Man show on Disney Plus.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
Yes. Which, have you seen any of that?
No.
It's like in its own world. Now, it makes references to the MCU, but it's an alternate reality MCU.
Okay.
For example, they talk about the big fight between the Avengers and Civil War, but Spider-Man wasn't there for that.
Okay.
And yes, Spider-Man has a tech suit, but it's not made by Tony Stark. It's made by Norman Osborn. Yes, that Norman Osborn. So at least for now, it seems like they're kind of on the same side because Norman Osborn is helping him. But you're getting this idea as things go along that, maybe things are going to go south. You don't know. But there are a lot of characters in there that seem to have relationships to people in the comic books, and there's some deep cut references. Now, are they actually going to turn into these characters? We don't know. But it's obviously not the MCU that we're used to. And of course, you look at Fantastic Four, they're definitely not in the same world as the MCU. So are they really going to start leaning into this multiverse type of
kind of Ultimates, the way they did with not an Ultimates universe, but the way they did with the Ultimates?
Yeah, where
they're giving us a new.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question is, are they basically wrapping up the MCU? Are they going to start doing more of these alternate universe characters where you don't have the huge weight of continuity to deal with. DC's getting to do a reboot. Is Marvel and Disney's saying, you know what? There's so much continuity at this point. Let's figure a way to get out from under it. Because in a lot of cases, especially when you have a long-running show, I mean, Doctor Who is about ready to crush itself under the weight of its own continuity. They've been that way for a while. So is this new Captain America supposed to be what they're using to tie all the loose bits of the MCU together so that they can move on to other stuff? I don't know.
Could be.
I mean, it's a possibility because, again, it looks like they're really getting away from continuity, or at least trying to. A lot of the new stuff that's coming out doesn't really weigh that heavily into the continuity. So I can see a reason to do it.
So we could be getting all the what ifs that we...
That's definitely a possibility. But again, they've tied up that continuity as well. I guess that's going to be the big question for me is what is Marvel's plan going forward? Because it does seem to me like they're trying to get out from under a lot of stuff. The new Avengers stuff that's coming out is going to be multi-world building. Because again, you've got Tony Stark / Doctor Doom, which apparently he's not, well, I'm not saying he is Tony Stark. You know, you got...
By the same actor, yes.
Yeah, same actor. You got Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom. And so it does seem to me as if they are trying to do some kind of a soft reboot. From your side of it, does it feel to you like that might be, am I completely off kilter here?
It wasn't something that I had thought about, until I will have to look at that and see exactly what I think and what is going on. It's not something that it's going to disappoint me in any way. I like the universe we have, but if we have a new one, I'm absolutely in for it. I'm happy with anything we get. I love all the what ifs. I love the TV shows. I was just as excited when Photon woke up in the other cinematic universe with Beast and everyone in that side with the X-Men. So I'm happy with anything we get and all the shifting and everything. And was just as happy to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield walk through those portals. But my geek-colored glasses, I'm happy with everything. So,
unless, of course, it's BBC's Dracula.
Yes. And speaking of Dracula, before we continue, bring me back to Dracula after we're done with this. So remind me about that when we come after we're done. So,
like I say, it seems like Marvel is trying to do a soft reboot. In other words, they still want the momentum from the movies, but they want to get away from a lot of the continuity. They want to be able to be a little bit more creative. And I think that makes a lot of sense. There's an awful lot of continuity that they're having to deal with. And after a while, it weighs you down. So being able to hit the reset button to some degree, I think, is a good thing if they can get away with it. As far as the new Captain America movie, that may not be the push off that they want because it's over 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. You need at least 60% to get a fresh score. So, it's certified rotten at this point. But again,
it's only been a few hours, so give it some time.
Yeah. But again, it's not like it's a bad movie. It's all right. It's all right. And that may be, like you say, the most damning thing a movie can be. It's not good enough to praise. It's not bad enough to have fun tearing apart. It just is. And that may be, in this day and age, the biggest crime that a movie can be. So, Dracula. What did you want to talk about Dracula?
Oh, okay. All right. So, when I walked into the recording studio today, you handed me a DVD that you got.
Yes.
Blu-ray. What was it?
Wicked.
Okay. So, there's a character that we caught a glimpse of that we haven't seen in Wicked yet, Brian. What is it? Who is it that we haven't seen yet?
Who haven't we seen in Wicked yet?
We caught a little glimpse of their feet.
Oh, you're talking about Dorothy.
Dorothy.
Yes.
So there's a lot of stuff going around Dorothy. Now, there's a rumor and then there's a theory. There's a rumor that I like and there's a theory that I love.
Okay.
The rumor that I like is Millie Bobby Brown. Yes, there's a big theory that's going to be Millie Bobby Brown. There's a theory that I love that is Alicia Weir. Now, if Alicia Weir, she played Abigail, Dracula's daughter. If you saw that movie, she played Dracula's daughter. Abigail, she was the ballerina vampire who absolutely slaughtered everyone. Now, if you are familiar with her, she also played Matilda in the musical So she has some singing pipes.
Mm-hmm.
So what's exciting about this, Brian, is if she is our Dorothy, and you know that the Wicked books, they continue on, and Dorothy comes back. She plays a much bigger part. Could we be getting more than one sequel to Wicked? Could we be getting a Wicked cinematic universe? Elphaba Live be actually Elphaba Lives.
Well, I will say this. There were some interviews with Winnie Holtzman and Stephen Schwartz, and that was brought up. It's like, would you consider doing more? And they were like, yeah, we would consider doing more. It's not outside of the realm of possibility. Certainly Gregory Maguire wrote a bunch more books.
Because we have the Broadway play,
Yeah.
but when you have movies, you can keep going. And there's so much material that they can work with, and the things that they adapted for the stage musical, there's so much more story that they can draw from, so many more characters that they can deal with. And the theories about Abigail is that she has been at so many of the premieres.
Yeah.
And like,
I've seen those pictures of her at the premieres.
Like, why is she? Like, is she just a fan? Like, why is she here? And when we know that she's a fantastic singer and that she's got the pipes for it. I haven't personally heard Millie Bobby Brown sing. I've heard her rap. She can absolutely rap, but I haven't personally heard her sing. So I love Millie Bobby Brown, and she definitely would look the part and make an absolute beautiful Dorothy. But that is absolutely exciting, and I would love to see, continue on, give us some more Wicked universe and keep going. But
well, there's certainly the trend in Hollywood that if something's successful, let's run it into the ground if at all possible. But at the same time, we do know for a fact, this is not speculation, we know this for a fact, that Stephen Schwartz has written 2 new songs for the second half. We know one of them is definitely one of Elphaba will be singing, and Cynthia Erivo said, "You're not ready for this song. Be prepared to cry." And I'm like, isn't For Good going to be enough?
Nope, apparently not.
And thank goodness at the beginning, that's going to be rough at the beginning, and you get For Good toward the end. That's going to be difficult enough, but they're going to, again, I keep joking, part 2, they're calling it Wicked for Good because it's easier to market it than to name it Ugly Cry the Motion Picture. But apparently that's where they're going with it. So we know one of the songs is going to be Elphaba's, and it's going to be gut-wrenching, and it's going to be heartbreaking. Yeah. But we don't know that much about the second song. Does Dorothy get that one? Is Dorothy going to get a song? Well, you know, we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know that. So
I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see. And with that said, we come to the end of episode 241. Thank you for listening, and tune in next time for the latest in geek news and views with the Geek Watch podcast. For Mandy Petrie, this is Brian Hatcher, reminding all the Geek Watchers out there, we're all geeky about something. Be proud of yours. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Geek Watch podcast. If you enjoyed this program, don't forget to like and subscribe on your preferred platform and share this podcast on your social media. For links to all the ways you can listen to the Geek Watch podcast, as well as leave comments and suggestions, visit our website at geekwatch.net. The Geek Watch podcast is a Hanging J production.